Hello and welcome to Rise the Victor podcast. This is your host, Chris Meaden, and this is episode 8. So on this episode, I thought I'd do something a little bit different. This has actually been recorded on video as well, at the same time as the podcast. And I'm going to take you through an exercise which is going to allow you to collapse some of the stress, the anxiety, the worry, which we're having as a result of what's going on at the moment. But first, I want to just explain, just some of the principles. When we worry, it's overthinking about issues which may be around. And of course, right now we have the COVID-19 lockdown. We have pressure and stress potentially in our relationships, worry about loved ones. Maybe we've even been unfortunate to have loss and grief as well. And of course, the insecurity as to the future, because right now the future is up in the air. So we don't know what's going to happen. And we don't know how long we're going to be contained in our homes. So there's a lot of opportunity to worry about things. Now, a lot of that stuff is outside your control. And, as I said in the previous episodes, it's what we allow to go in our mind, what we feed our mind is going to create the base, the database, the data bank of knowledge of how we process it. And it's recognizing that we can change that. But as we escalate worry, then we start to create anxiety, and then that can, as a result, then develop into anxieties and general anxiety disorder. It can be panic attacks, panic disorders. It can be a whole range of things. So the first few weeks, there was panic with panic purchasing in the supermarkets, and things are becoming a bit more in control now. But right now, we're 2 weeks in. This is in the UK, and obviously in other countries, it's been longer. And adjusting to this new environment. So we're going to go through a process which is going to allow you to collapse some of that emotional, physical charge, that stress, that emotion inside of you. Okay. And if you're listening to this on podcast, I'm going to describe the process the best I can, but also I advise you to go across to chrismeadenonline.com and watch the video as you go through this if you don't get a chance the first time around. Now, on the previous episode, I talked about self-havening, and this is basically incorporating self-havening in a way where we can change the emotional, physical charge associated to worry patterns. Okay, so often when I see people with anxiety and panic attacks and extreme trauma, there's a lot of internal dialogue, reflecting on the past, but also fearing of the future and worrying about the future and potential outcomes and situations. So during this process, I'm going to get you to, I want you to apply touch to the palms and the arms. We would normally do the face as well, but because of guidelines, we're not going to touch the face in this process. But effectively, how this works, how havening techniques work, is we activate a feeling by thinking about or recalling or remembering or bringing to mind that whatever that thing you've been worrying about. And that effectively, imagine those memories a bit like light bulbs, they switch on in your mind, okay? And even when you stop thinking about them or talking about them, those light bulbs still remain lit up between 7 and 10 minutes. And during that time, they're available for chemical change. Now, the stimulation of touch on the palms and the arms is stimulating receptors on the skin, creating electrical signals into our brain. We'll start to create delta waves in the brain. So we start creating serotonin, oxytocin, GABA, and calcineurin. And serotonin, oxytocin naturally desensitizes our stress levels. So we have high levels of cortisol and adrenaline and low levels of serotonin, oxytocin. As we do this, it's like two sides of scales, okay? It shifts. Now, and calcineurin, which is created in the brain, is able to change the structure of those memories and detach the emotional, physical response from it. And those light bulbs just get extinguished. And then after we've gone through this, the connection, the emotional, physical connection will be desensitized further, maybe blocked. And I'll explain that more at the end of it. So if you have an opportunity to, if you're watching this on a mobile, you'll need to have your hands free to apply this touch to get the full benefit out of it. Just listening to it will be okay, but really the premise of how this works is we activate the thought, the feeling, the worry, okay? Then we apply the touch, and that touch creates the delta waves, which changes your brain chemistry and your body chemistry. Okay, so to get the maximum value out of this podcast episode, this recording, is give yourself the space to just go through this from the start to finish. Okay, because as I said, we activate something, it's activated for 7 to 10 minutes, and then we can change it. If you go away and have a cup of coffee and come back 20 minutes later before you start in the middle, it's not going to work. Okay, you have to go through from the start all the way to the finish. Okay, so I want you to think about the things you're worrying about. Think about the worrying, whether or not it's in relationships, maybe your loved ones, whatever that may be. Okay, think about the worry. Maybe it's about financial circumstances. Maybe you've lost your job, or there's uncertainty around your job. Whatever the worry is, whatever that may be. Okay, just think about those worries. Okay. Maybe even I've been unfortunate enough to have loss and grief of a loved one, someone you care, a relative, a friend. Whatever that is. Okay. Just recognise, and if you've had a pattern of internal dialogue in your head, which you've been continuously going through, which many people do, just do that now before we let it go. Okay, so now I want you to scale the intensity 1 to 10. So 10 is really intense, 1 it doesn't bother you. And look, if you have some emotions and tears, that's natural. Okay, so by applying the touch, I want you to continuously apply the touch on the palms in a rhythmic circular movement, gentle and rhythmic. So you can alternate between the palms or from your arms, from the top of your shoulders down to your elbows, all in one stroke, rhythmically, just returning to the top of your elbow, top of your shoulders, down to your elbows, and just continuously to move your movement down, touching your arm. So whatever is most comfortable for you right now, just applying this touch. So just clear your mind for now, and just imagine yourself walking on a beach, golden sunny beach, Paradise Island, or in a park, wherever it may be, somewhere comfortable or somewhere safe. Okay, and as you imagine yourself in that space, counting out loud from 1 to 25. 1, 2, continuing to apply the touch. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and move your eyes to the left, laterally to the right, laterally to the left, to the left, to the right, 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 and continue to apply the touch to the arms or the palms, whichever is most comfortable. And just imagine yourself now at Wimbledon watching tennis, sitting in the umpire's chair, the elevated chair above them there. If you see it's safe for you to do so, just close your eyes whilst you're doing this. And sitting in that umpire's chair, just tracking the tennis ball from the left side of the court to the right side of the court, to the left, to the right, moving your eyes side to side throughout the process whilst applying the touch. The delta waves have been created by your eyes movement, side lateral movement of your eyes, as well as the touch on your palms or on your arms. Okay, and just counting back from 50 to 0 and 2 as you do that, tracking the tennis ball. So 50, 48, 46, 44, 42, 40, 38, 36, 34, 32, 30, 28, 26, 24, 22, 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0. And hum happy birthday. And take a deep breath inside. Hold it for a moment. And just let go. And count to free yourself. 1, 2, 3. If your eyes aren't already open, just open your eyes and just stop there. Okay, so right now, you might feel a bit spacey, a bit floaty, and that's completely natural and completely normal. Okay, so through the application of touch, we've created delta waves in our brain. The body's flooded with serotonin, oxytocin, and GABA and calcium being created. So I want you to just see if you get to that stuff you were thinking about before. Because as we went through that process, the calcium was washing over those parts, those light bulbs which were lit up, and extinguishing them. So when you try and get back to that stuff, you'll notice certain differences, okay? Differences in your perception. Now, of course, we haven't changed anything on the outside world. We've just changed how we're perceiving it in our mind and how we are emotionally and physically responding to it in our body. Now, there's a number of ways how this may shift. Maybe you can't access that memory, that thought, that construct, and it's just blocked. You can't get to it. Often that's experienced with internal dialogue. If you went through that internal dialogue and all that pattern of negativity or whatever it was, okay, that worry, see if you can get to it now. The chances are it's shifted in a number of different ways. Now, you can apply this exercise as many times as you like. Just go back and run through this. And naturally, every time you do it, you're going to increase your levels of serotonin, oxytocin. Your stress level's going to come down. You're going to have less of a response. Because we have a thing called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons is how we pick up on people's emotional state. So if you're in a household, which most of us in our household, and if we have friends or family or, people we're cohabitating with, if you're stressed, then that stress is going to affect the other people in the household. Okay. But if you going through this process, become more relaxed, then you have more of a calming state around the people around you. It's like when you've walked into a room and you've known there's been an argument, something's happened, it's just you've cut the atmosphere with a knife, okay? That's a really obvious sign of mirror neurons, okay? So by you doing this exercise, you're grounding yourself and keeping perspective as to what's happening. So and of course, to the people on the podcast, I do encourage you to go on to chrismeadonline.com and follow the exercise fully and completely on video, so you can be sure that you're doing it right. And if you see this, if you're watching this on a Facebook post or a social media post, I'd love for you to like this, share it, and comment on it, on this exercise. So till next time, I'll see you on another episode of Rise to Victory. So bye for now.